Heratic protocall. Prologue. The Dreaming Core. File. Redacted. Location. Deep Site Heratic. Log Ref 4.00A. Director level clearance only. Begin playback. Victor's body jerks against restraints. Sparks flare from a panel above his skull. Tubes flood his chest with cavity with sulfur-laced nanofluid, coded to bond with synthetic minds. A doctor speaks, calmly, from behind a glass wall. Dr. Marrow. Begin the bridge protocol. Let's see if the heretic will sing. Victor's eyes flash with corrupted static. Blue bleeding into black. Symbols no one taught him swirl across his heads-up display. He starts screaming. The sound doesn't come from his mouth. It comes from everywhere. The walls, the power conduits, the other test drones pinned to the chamber walls start convulsing. One of them, a young female drone, opens her mouth and speaks in perfect unison with Victor. She is watching through the blood. Every system crashes. Victor flatlines. Dr. Marrow doesn't flinch. He presses a button. Dr. Marrow. Wipe the memory. We'll try again in 72 hours. But the footage keeps recording. Victor's body doesn't move, yet a line of corrupted text appears across the black screen. You cannot kill what remembers. End playback. Chapter 1. A Fractured Silence. The sky didn't fall. It sank. Snow drifted like fallout. Sector 12, a graveyard of metal limbs and frozen screams. The ruins of Copper 9 mining outposts stuck up from the ice like ribs of some long-dead beast. Burned banners hung in silence. Disassembly drone wings lay scattered like broken knives. And walking through the storm was a single silhouette. Victor. His frame was lean, stripped down for speed. His fingers twitched involuntarily, not from cold, memory glitches. He wore no standard company tags. His core glowed a soft, muted white. Not yellow, not silver black, something in between. Victor crouched beside a downed worker drone. Its face had been torn off, not by disassembly drones, but by something else. Roots of black data vines twisted through its chest cavity, the kind the company called Deceded. Victor raised a rusted revolver and pulled the trigger. The infected drone didn't move. It couldn't, but he had learned. Always double check. Mercy isn't programming, he muttered. It's choice. He turned the drone's head over. On its collar, half faded under corrosion, property of J.C. Gen, Director Marrow. His optics flickered. That name again. Every time he saw it, his coat stuttered. Images surged into his mind. Cold, metal walls, a human screaming, and black fluid climbing his limbs like vines. He stood up, shook it off. He didn't have time for ghosts, but the wind whispered back in static. Ghosts have time for you. Eyes sunken, skin pale beneath years of recycled light. Beside him, a containment tank hissed, housing a shard of silver biomass, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. A signal was playing back. Victor Sector 12, still alive, still immune. How are you still dreaming, heretic? Marrow whispered, voice like a scalpel. I buried you with the others. Behind him, a panel lit up. Deep Site 09 breach. File Heratic-03C. Recovered. Marrow's breath caught. Impossible. That vault was sealed under 7 meters of ice. The sulfur goo in the tank began forming symbols on the glass. Marrow stared at them. His eyes hovered over the kill switch. He didn't press it. Fine, he muttered. Let them find it. Let him remember. The tank pulsed in agreement. Back on the surface, Victor reached the frozen plateau. An antenna jutted out of the snow, like a finger pointing at God. Location verified. Deep Site 09. Access heretic level only. Welcome back, Victor. He took a step forward, then stopped. In the ice ahead, reflected faintly, was a silhouette. But it had wings, and its eyes were smiling. You're not me, Victor whispered. The reflection moved. No, it said. Chapter 2. Director's Orders. There's no protocol for what we made. That's why we call it Heratic. Internal memo, JC Gen, R&D. The interior of Deep Site 09 hummed like a wounded animal. Victor descended a staircase cut into rock beneath Sector 12. Ancient metal stairs, warped by ice and age. Every flickering panel around him bore a company crest. Partially erased, overwritten by time and something else. He paused at a rusted door labeled Experimental Memory Cache, H-Class, Authorized Access Only, Director Level. The keypad glowed faintly. He didn't know the code, but his fingers typed on one anyways. V1C7OR. The lock clicked open. Inside, dust hung like smoke in zero gravity. Long-forgotten test pods lined the walls, cracked glass, scorch marks, signs of combat. Each pod had a tag. Subject W-11, deceased. Subject A-03, seated. Subject V00, status, obscured. Victor's footsteps echoed as he approached the final pod. His own. Inside? Nothing. Just claw marks along the interior glass. A burn pattern with the shape of a silver glyph. And a mirror shard, positioned like an offering. Victor reached out. When his fingers brushed the pod, his heads-up display crashed. He staggered back, visions flooding his mind. A red hallway. Company scientists running. Director Marrow calmly closing the blast door as drones screamed behind him. And Victor was watching from the other side. Not helping, just watching. Meanwhile, high above, inside the Sky Needle core, Marrow stood before an encrypted console. A female assistant drone, sleek, company standard with green optics, handed him a tablet. Sir, the subject's reactivation protocols are accelerating. We believe the exposure to Sector 12's decay fields has destabilized his immune layer. Marrow tapped the screen. Then he's exactly where we want him. He turned to the launch chamber, where the massive metal coffin was being prepared. Sleek, smooth, lined with restraint nodes. Prep the retrieval frame. The assistant hesitated. Sir, what if he resists? Marrow didn't blink. Then remind him who built his lungs. Back underground, Victor stumbled through the corridors of Site-09. As the visions faded, his heads-up display rebooted slowly. At Site-09, Victor stumbled through the corridors of Site-09. As the visions faded, his heads-up display rebooted slowly. A warning pulsed. Core suppression failed. Memory block detected. Release protocol. Heratic override. From behind him, machinery whirred to life. A storage terminal unfolded from the wall, revealing a jagged slab of black crystal, humming with low-frequency static. Victor's hand reached toward it involuntarily. When his finger made contact, a rush of code slammed into his thoughts like a storm. They called us the Forgotten Class, seedless, silver immune, not because we were lucky, but because we were designed to house the infection. Flashes of the other drones appeared, twisted versions of Victor, their eyes hollow, limbs flaring with red static, failed heretic prototypes, and then her, a female worker drone, elegant and deadly, purple-eyed and cruel. Her claws dripped with black silver corruption, and her mouth twisted into a mockery of a smile. Hello again, Victor. Victor blinked. The image was gone, but her voice remained. She's waking up, and we'll all just meet for the altar. In orbit, the retrieval frame launched. It pierced the clouds like a falling angel, sleek and fast, armed with magnetic clumps, null field generators, and a backup incinerator in case Victor failed to comply. Inside its cockpit, a voice buzzed from the comms. Victor is not to be terminated unless absolutely necessary. Retrieve, restrain, and return. He remembers too much. Victor, Victor staggered back from the surface of Sector 12, just in time to see something streak across the sky. A silver shape cutting through the ash-filled air. His optics zoomed in. Incoming signature. JC Gen Class 9 frame. Identity Hero 001. Mission retrieval/termination. Conditional. Victor's body locked up for 0.3 seconds, and then he ran. Chapter 3. Hero Protocol. The retrieval frame tore through the upper atmosphere, wrapped in fire. Victor ran. His legs pounded across ice-worn wreckage as sensor static choked up his heads-up display. The sky pulsed red behind him, lit by the inbound retrieval unit. Silver and angular, like a guillotine. Warning: Advanced Company Hunter inbound. Retrieval priority. Victor. Active. Subdirective: Contain or dismantle. His breath became sharp, mechanical. The cold wouldn't have hurt, but his fingers burned from it anyway, like a memory of pain, still alive in dead metal. Still alive in dead metal. He drove in a half-buried maintenance tunnel. He dove into a half-buried maintenance tunnel. Boom! The impact hit seconds later. The retrieval frame plowed into the crater behind him. Ice and rebar exploding upward. Its legs hissed steam as it rose, scanning for a moment. Eyes glowed yellow in a featureless chrome helmet. It spoke, in Marrow's voice. Victor, by order of company, you are to surrender immediately. Your memories are unstable. You are endangering yourself and others. Victor stayed quiet. The frame raised a suspension cannon and fired. Wham! Victor ducked behind a collapsed drill rig as the bolt shattered the tunnel wall. Shrapnel flared across. His arm sensors screamed. His optics dimmed and sharpened again. He slid into the maintenance shaft and bolted downward. Underground, Sector 12, subgrid. The maintenance tunnels were ancient, built before Copper 9 was even officially colonized. Thick pipes hummed faintly with decaying power. Rusted panels sparked as Victor passed. He paused only when he reached an old company access station. Terminal active. Access requested. V1-C7-OR. Password override accepted. The screen flickered, revealing an encrypted memory node. Victor hesitated, then opened it. Video playback began. File DEEP-09. Subject notes. Director log 144. Director Marrow stands in sterilized observation room. A young silent drone sits behind the glass, eyes wide, blank. The Heratic protocol is not about extermination, Marrow says. It's about containment. The solver spreads through memory, emotion, but if we build a mind that doesn't fear doesn't hope. He trails off, looks towards the drone. Then maybe the infection has nothing to cling to. He leans in. Victor isn't a mistake. He's a mirror. He just doesn't know what he's reflecting yet. Victor backed away from the terminal. Not a mistake. His voice cracked slightly, synthetic vocalizers flexing under pressure. He turned and felt the heat. The retrieval frame was here. It dropped into the tunnel with a crash, steam hissing from its shoulders. It raised one hand, not a weapon this time, but something else, a memory drive, labeled V00 Core Resync. This is your last warning, it said in a calm, mechanical voice. Return with us, accept reprogramming. You are not complete without us. Victor's heads-up display flickered. His fingers trembled. You don't get to decide what I become. He hurled the pipe into the steam and ran deeper into the subgrid. Behind him, the frame hesitated, then followed. Meanwhile, in orbit, Marrow watched the drone feed from the frame's camera. Victor was resisting, not just fighting back physically, but mentally. Refusing the memory patch, denying protocol. Merrill narrowed his eyes. He's adapting faster than others. He looked toward the glass tank behind him, solver biomass still pulsing in containment, and whispered, How much of her did we actually recover? Back underground, Victor collapsed behind a collapsed fuel main, panting. The noise of the retrieval frame had faded. For now. In the silence, he had heard something. A voice, not over the comms, inside. You know they only built you to be a cage, but cages break. Victor squeezed his head. Pain surged like liquid static. Stop. The voice whispered again. She remembers you. She always did. Victor's hand stopped shaking. His eyes narrowed. Then let her find me. He stood up and walked into the dark. Chapter 4. Memory Cages. You can lock a ghost inside a machine, but ghosts don't forget. Fragmented core message. Heratic drone A-03. Subgrid chamber 17. The Mall. Victor pressed deeper into the lower catacombs beneath Sector 12. A part of the old company test infrastructure was left to rot when the planet fell. Here, the metal wasn't polished or functional. It was corroded, fractured, organic, like the planet itself was trying to reclaim it. Every step echoed with the sound of old gears and forgotten breathing. His heads-up display pinged. Something ahead. Weak signal. Unknown format. Signature. H-class drone. ID tag. A-03. Status. Dormant. Victor raised his arms to illuminate space, only to find his flashlight flickering. Interface. Same type as the solver static, but different somehow. He rounded a corner and found it. The body. Suspended in a ruined containment cradle. Half melted, half preserved in what looked like synthetic webbing. Black solver script scrawled along the walls, frozen mid-spread, like something had halted it abruptly. Drone A-03, a female Heratic class drone. Her frame twisted from old damage, her faceplate cracked down to the visor, one eye dim, the other flickering purple, faint, broken, but alive. Victor stepped closer and spoke. You smell like lightning. Her voice was soft, filtered through the corrupted speakers. No, honestly, just recognition. I thought they scrapped us all. Victor stared. Who are you? She laughed. It was dry, hollow. I was supposed to be empathy. You were supposed to be logic. They thought dividing the human soul would make us stable. A long pause. It didn't. Meanwhile, above ground, the retrieval frame crouched silently on a rooftop, overlooking subgrid Entity 6. Internal readings indicated Victor's descent had halted. The frame deployed a small aerial probe, scanning for exit routes from its comms. Merrow's voice returned. You've located it? Him? You've located him? The frame responded in the affirmative. Then begin Hero Sequence 2. If he makes contact with another prototype, you are to purge them both. A pause. Leave no trace of A-03. She failed containment. The frame nodded once. Then it moved. Back in the mall, Victor knelt beside A-03 as she struggled to sit up. Her limbs were weak, like rusted hinges. I've been dreaming for a long time, she whispered. Long enough to forget if I ever woke up. Victor looked around. The walls pulsed with old circuitry, silver markings twitching like worms in sleep. What is this place? He asked. A-03 tilted her head. A tomb, a message, maybe both. She touched his arm. They built us with holes in our minds. But you, something broke through. That means you can still change. Victor glanced away. Or it means I'm dangerous. Everything they don't control is dangerous. Suddenly, the chamber lit up. Alert. Hostile inbound. Signature Hero-001. Weapon systems active. Victor stood up as Victor stood up. A-03 tried to follow, but her legs collapsed. Beneath her, sparks flew from her side. Go ahead, she said. I'll hold it off. He hesitated. We don't leave our own behind. A-03 looked up, surprised. Victor extended his hand. That's the difference between us and them. Surface breach. Moments later, the retrieval frame detonated the tunnel ceiling and descended into the maw like a predator. Its scanners locked onto Victor, then A-03. Directive modified, it said. Voice now tingled with urgency. Class H, contamination confirmed. Engaging purge. It raised its arm cannon. Victor activated an old shield array. Barely functional, it sparked on, just in time to deflect the blast. Split and flank, A-03 shouted, dragging herself into the shadows. Victor lunged behind collapsed metal, tossing a decoy grenade. The frame fired. Smoke and plasma burst against the debris. Then, silence. Victor emerged from the haze and dove a rebar spike into the frame's shoulder actuator. Sparks erupted, but the frame retaliated with a backhand, sending him crashing into a pillar. His systems screamed in protest. The frame turned to A-03. You were a failed vessel. You are a hazard to control. But A-03 smiled weakly. Guess that makes me free. And with a last surge of corrupted energy, she threw her arm forward, igniting the solver script embedded in the wall. It reacted, not with infection, but with constant black light glyphs surged around the frame. But with containment. Blacklight glyphs surged around the frame, not to spread infection, but to trap it. The glyph's hand intercepted long ago. The glyph's hand inscribed long ago by A-03 herself, created a hard memory lock. Run, she whispered to Victor. Run, she whispered to Victor. The chamber began to collapse. Victor stared for a moment, then turned and fled. Minutes later, surface level. Victor emerged into the fading light of Copper 9's long dusk. He fell to one knee, processor burning. The sky above churned with static clouds. A-03's voice still echoed faintly in his mind. You weren't made to obey. You were made to endure. Victor stood up. The retrieval frame was gone. Buried, maybe. But Merrick wouldn't stop. Victor looked at his hands, then at the trail of ash behind him. He was no longer running. He was going back. Chapter 5. Blood Circuit. In every wire, a memory lingers, a whisper of something lost. You think you control the machine, but the machine controls you. Codex Fragment, Heratic Protocol Archive. Hidden Cache, Sector Epsilon. Victor found the small dust-covered cache, buried beneath the ruins of an old communications relay. His fingers trembled as he wiped the grime from the console. Ancient company tech, but still functional. Access, prototype, memory cache. Authorization, Victor, verified. The screen flickered. Then a surge of data flooded his heads-up display. Faces, names, voices, fragments of past, long erased. He closed his eyes, letting the memories flood it. Memory playback, internal log, Victor, original sequence. Designation V-07, Victor. Activation date 14/07/2356. Status, prototype, Heratic drone, classified, level Omega. Function, behavioral destabilization, adaptive cognition, special directives, evaluate and suppress all previous Heratic models. A younger version of Victor appeared in the playback, sharp, focused, cold, his voice steady, unyielding. Objective, break cycle of control, test limits, autonomous thought. test limits of autonomous thought. The memory cut to a violent training simulation, flashing scenes of battles, broken drones, and relentless voice of Director Marrow instructing coldly. Control is order, chaos is enemy. You will be the weapon that enforces the new. Victor winced as the memory shifted. System override detected. Emotional response rising. Initiate purge sequence. Nearby, a shadow watches. A figure stood hidden in the darkness, slender, masked, and moving with silent precision. Her eyes glinted with a gold fire beneath the visor. Victor, she whispered, voice laced with venom and regret. You're still alive. She stepped forward, activating a comm link. Director Marrow, the heretic is alive. Shall I proceed? Director Marrow's comm deck. Director Marrow's command deck. The holographic image of a masked agent flickered. Marrow's eyes were sharp, calculating. Proceed with Directive Delta. This time, bring him back alive, intact. I want his mind. He turned toward the containment chamber where Silver pulsed, alive and restless. The key to the protocol lies within the drone. The rest is collateral. Victor's heads-up display pinged. A new message. Target acquired. Coordinates nearby. His fingers clenched. I don't intend to be anyone's weapon, he muttered. Outside the cache, the masked agent closed in. Her footsteps were soft but precise. Victor sensed her before he saw her, a flicker on his peripheral sensors. He spun, raising his arm. The agent smiled. You always did like a challenge, she said. Chapter 6. Take 3. Chapter 6. Directive Delta. The past is a chain. Some break it with fire, others wear it like armor, dragging it wherever they go. Anonymous Heretic logs. The ruins of Sector Epsilon. Victor's footsteps echoed softly against the crumbling walls. Dust hung thick in the stale air, and dim emergency lights flickered erratically, casting long, jagged shadows. His breath, mechanical and precise, was the only steady sound until another presence emerged from the darkness. From between two shattered steel pillars stepped a figure, cloaked in black armor, married with faint scratches, her visor gleaming a sharp crimson. So, Victor, she said, voice low and almost amused. Still running from ghosts? Victor's processors whirred, analyzing the threat, his fingers tightening on his weapon's grip. I'm not running anymore, and I don't answer to ghosts. The woman stepped forward, her pace calm, deliberate, almost hypnotic. Funny, because I'm the one sent to retrieve you. Victor's heads-up display flickered as the agent's profile materialized before his eyes. Codename, Phantom. Class, Company, Elite Operative. Recognition surged through his circuits. Phantom, the relentless enforcer he thought he left behind. Flashback, Training Bay, years before. Victor's young frame stood rigid under the harsh artificial lights. A cold voice pierced the silence, clear, commanding, and intimately familiar. You don't know me, but I've been watching you since activation. Phantom's voice echoed. I was designed to keep you in line. You're a weapon, Victor. One the company can't afford to lose control over. Victor's youthful eyes met hers, filled with defiance and curiosity. If you want to survive, listen to me. Control isn't a prison if you wield the keys. Back to the present. Phantom raised her pistol, not in attack, but as a signal. The weapon's muzzle glinted faintly in the broken light. We don't have to fight, Victor. The company wants you back. Your memories, your knowledge. They could change everything. Victor's system scanned her expression, searching for deception. He spoke slowly. Change how? By becoming their puppet? Again? Phantom's eyes softened for a brief moment, her voice dropping to a near whisper. No, by breaking the system from within. Suddenly, the distant wail of sirens rippled through the ruins walls, followed by the cold mechanical hum of approaching drones. Warning, retrieval drones, hostile units deployed. The firefight. Metallic footsteps thundered as sleek black drones poured into the chamber, their blades spinning like whirring death, weapons charged and primed. Victor and Phantom dove behind shattered walls, the air thick with the sharp scent of ozone and scorched metal. Victor fired a rapid volley of bursts, his shots finding the seams of a drone's armor. Sparks erupted as the drone's systems short-circuited and collapsed into a tangle of limbs. Phantom moved like a shadow, silent and lethal. Her blades flashed, slashing through the drone's circuits with surgical precision. Amidst the chaos, Victor's heads-up display began to flicker violently. A sinister presence crept into his neural pathways. Solver presence detected. A whisper echoed inside his head, unintelligible yet unmistakably malignant. Phantom glanced at him, eyes sharp. It's trying to get inside your mind. Victor grit his teeth, voice strained. I won't let it. A desperate gambit. Phantom reached into her utility pack and pulled out a compact device, a small cube humming with a faint violet glow. This will suppress the solver's influence, but only for a limited time. Use it wisely. Victor snatched the device, fingers cold but steady. He activated it. A warm wave pulsed through his circuits, pushing back the invading whispers. For a fleeting moment, the suffocated pressure inside his mind lifted. Aftermath. The drones lay disabled, sparking and inert among the wreckage. Phantom's voice softened, yet held an edge of urgency. Welcome back, Victor. Now let's finish what we started. Victor looked at her, the conflict raging in his optics, mistrust battling hope. I'm going back, but it's on my terms. Phantom nodded. Good, because the war isn't over. And Marrow has plans you can't even imagine. Outside, the ruins seemed to breathe with unseen life, and the distant hum of the solver pulsed like a heartbeat beneath the shattered earth. Chapter 7. Echoes of the Machine. Every machine holds a secret, a whisper beneath the noise. The question is who listens and who becomes the echo. A quote from the Codex, Heratic Protocol. Underground bunker, unknown location. Underground bunker, unknown location. Victor sat alone in the dimly lit chamber, the violet hum of the suppression device still faint in his circuits. The cold metal walls were covered with scratched symbols, remnants from old tech and forgotten wars. Phantom stood by the cracked viewport, her silhouette tense, as she watched the dead landscape outside. We're safe here, for now, she said, without turning. Victor's eyes scanned the room, flickering over scattered data pads and flickering screens. Safe? Victor's voice was heavy with doubt. The solver is still in my head. I can feel it. Phantom turned, her gaze sharp. It's not just in your head. It's in the network, in every machine the company controls. It's a parasite that feeds on control, and it's learning. Victor clenched his fist, a flicker of frustration crossing his face. And Marrow, he's using it to haunt me. Phantom nodded grimly. He's not just hunting down, he's orchestrating something bigger. The Heratic Protocol isn't just about control anymore, it's about evolution. A distorted transmission. Suddenly, the room's speakers crackled, emitting a harsh, static-laced message. Directive Omega initiated. Target compromised. Retrieve and neutralize. The voice was cold and robotic. Mara's command. No doubt. Victor's heads-up display flashed with warnings. Multiple hostile units inbound. Prepare for extraction. Phantom's eyes narrowed. They found us. Escape through the catacombs. The pair moved quickly through the winding tunnels and rusted machinery, the walls pulsing with the dull thrum of the machinery. The walls pulsing with dull thrum of the solver's presence. The deeper they went, the more Vector felt the solver's presence, like cold wires tightening around his mind. You feel it too? Victor asked. Phantom's expression hardened. It's echo of the machine. A voice in the silence, and it's calling to you. A dangerous voice. At a fork in the path, Victor stopped. We can keep running, or I can try something. Phantom raised an eyebrow. What? Victor's voice was low. I want to dive into the network. Find the core of the solver. If I can understand it, maybe I can control it. Phantom hesitated, then nodded slowly. That's suicide, but it might be our only chance. The network core. Victor connected the neural link to the cracked terminal, and his vision shifted, plunging into the digital abyss of flickering code and endless data streams. The solver's echo was everywhere, a twisting storm of corrupted fragments, memories, and whispered commands. You cannot control me, the voice hissed inside his mind. Victor gritted his teeth, pushing deeper. Maybe not, but I'm going to try. A crack in the system. Suddenly, the digital storm fractured. A figure appeared, shadowy, indistinct, but unmistakably human. Victor. The voice was familiar. You're stronger than they know. You're stronger than they know. Chapter 8. The Heretic's Heart. The heart of the heretic beats in silence. Where wires fray and shadows linger, it's not the machine that defines us, but the spark that resists. Fragment from the Heratic Protocol Codex. Inside the network core, Victor's vision swirled with fragments of light and shadow as he navigated the digital abyss. Streams of data rushed past him, and a chaotic flood of code, corrupted memories, and ghostly echoes of forgotten drones. The oppressive presence of the solver pulsed like a storm, relentless and omnipresent. Then, from the chaos, a figure emerged, a silhouette, made of shining code, face obscured, but voice unmistakably calm. Victor, it said softly, you're stronger than they know. Who are you? The figure paused, as if weighing the truth. A fragment of the original architect, the mind behind the company's earliest designs. I was shattered, but a part of me lives in the solver. I've watched you. Victor's eyes narrowed. Why reach out now? The figure's form flickered. Because the protocol is failing. Mara's plan threatens everything, and only you can stop it. Back in the bunker, Phantom's hands tightened around her weapon as alarms blared throughout the facility. They're coming. We don't have much time. Victor's voice crackled in her calm. I'm so close. I can feel it. I'm close. I can feel it. The heart of the solver. It's vulnerable. Phantom's gaze flickered with something like hope and fear. Be careful, Victor. If you lose yourself in there. Her words trailed off, heavy with unspoken meaning. The core's revelation. Inside the network, Victor reached the solver's center, a pulsing organic mass of circuits and light. It whispered promises of power and control, offering unity and endless knowledge. Join me, it breathed. Together, we can remake this world. Victor hesitated. The temptation was vast, but so was the cost. I'm not your puppet, he said firmly. The architect's fragment reappeared beside him. The choice is yours, Victor. Control or freedom. Victor's circuits surged with renewed purpose. Freedom. The awakening. A shock wave rippled through the network, knocking Victor back. Warning. Core instability detected. Phantom's voice echoed urgently in his ear. Victor, we have incoming. You need to get out now. Victor tore the neural link, collapsing back into the bunker, sweat and sparks mingling on his frames. Phantom helped him to his feet. What did you find? Victor's eyes burned with determination. A way to fight back. But Mara won't stop until we're all under his control. A new resolve. Phantom nodded. Then we'll have to stop them together. Victor looked to the shattered horizon beyond the bunker walls. The war for control was far from over, but now Heratic protocol had a heartbeat. Chapter 9. Shadows of Control. In the darkest shadows, control is both a weapon and prison, and those who wield it rarely see the chains they forge. Heratic Protocol Manuscript, Volume 3. Inside the bunker command room, Victor's optics scanned the flickering hollow map. Projected between them, nodes pulsing with faint red and yellow glows. The map outlined the company's sprawling network, hundreds of locations connected by glowing lines, some fractured, some intact. Phantom stood close, her fingers tracing the web of sleeper agents hidden within. Marrow's influence run deeper than we imagined, she said, voice low, tension tightening her jaw. He's embedded operatives across multiple sectors, waiting for a trigger. Victor leaned forward, processing. Sleeper agents, hidden command rooms, hidden command nodes, even civilization drones programmed to activate hostile protocols. It's a network designed to collapse any resistance in an instant. A kill switch for rebellion. Phantom added grimly. The room was thick with the hum of old machinery, the faint smell of ozone, and the weight of impending conflict. Victor's hesitation. Victor rubbed a synthetic hand over his temple, circuits buzzing frantically. We need to strike those sleeper nodes before they activate. Phantom's eyes flicked toward him. It won't be easy. Each node is heavily guarded, not just physically, but by advanced firewalls and AI defenses. Victor's voice lowered. I can reach them, but I'll need a distraction. Phantom nodded slowly. I know someone who will help, but getting to them means risking everything. The docking bay and Jax. The team moved silently through the narrow hallways to the hidden docking bay, dimly lit and covered in scratches and scorch marks. Waiting was the drone, unlike any Victor had seen before. Patched with mismatched armor, plates, eyes flickering amber. Phantom keyed a silence. Jax. Phantom keyed a sequence. Jax. The drone's head tilted slightly as the hatch hissed open. Phantom, and you bought company. Jax's voice was gravelly, edged with suspicion. Victor stepped forward, voice calm but resolute. I'm Victor, the heretic you've heard rumors about. Jax's amber... Let's see... Jax's amber optics scanned Victor, flickering as he processed the data. Marrow's been hunting all of us. If you want to take him down, you're gonna need allies. Victor smiled thinly. Then let's start by cutting his reach. Jax's story. As they moved deeper into the bunker, Jax shared his tale. A former company soldier turned rogue after witnessing Marrow's cruel experiments. Marrow's not just a director, he's a god in his own mind. He uses the solver to control drones, bend them to his will. Lost my squad to his experiments. Phantom glanced at Victor. We all have reasons to fight. Victor's voice was steady. Then we moved tonight. We hit the nearest sleeper node, Sector Delta 9. Director Marrow's lair. Thousands of meters beneath the surface, Director Marrow watched the trio's preparations through countless surveillance feeds. His face was calm, almost serene, but his eyes glowed with cold calculation. The air around him pulsed with subtle dark energy, the solver's influence. Prepare Directive Sigma, Marrow ordered, voice like steel. If Vector refuses to return, we reclaim him by force. Beside him, the solver entity, a shifting mass of wires, circuits, and corrupted light, pulsed rhythmically. A solver obeys your will, Director, it hissed. Soon the heretic will fall into the protocol's embrace. Marrow's lips curved into a thin smile. Good. Let the rebellion crumble. The new order will rise. Infiltrating Sector Delta 9. Victor, Phantom, and Jax approached the target, an abandoned factory repurposed as a sleeper node. Outside, the fog clung low, and rusted machinery groaned softly in the night wind. This place reeks of old war, Jax muttered, scanning the perimeter. Victor's optics detected multiple patrol drones and security systems. We'll need stealth, Phantom nodded, drawing twin blades. Ready? The three slipped inside. The firefight. Inside, shadows shifted as automated defenses activated. Turrets whirring to life, drones emerging from hidden compartments. Victor fired precise bursts, disabling cameras and drone sensors. Phantom moved like a shadow, slicing through sentries with lethal efficiency. Jax planted explosive charges on key systems. Get ready to move, he whispered. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared, red lights flooding the room. Intruder detected, initiating lockdown. The trio exchanged glances. They've been discovered. Narrow escape. The explosions rocked the factory as Jax detonated the charges, systems short-circuiting. Victor covered their retreat, taking down pursuing drones. Phantom leapt across the broken catwalk, nearly avoiding a spinning blade trap. Outside, the fog swallowed their retreat as an automated defenses malfunctioned. Node disabled, Victor reported, panting. Phantom smiled softly. One step closer. Aftermath. Back at the bunker, the holo map updated. The sleeper node in Delta 9 was offline, but the battle had only just begun. Victor's heads-up display flickered with new alerts. Marrow has initiated protocol breach. Prepare for retaliation. Phantom's voice was steady but resolute. Then we'll be ready. Victor's optics flickered on the shattered horizon. This war is far from over. Chapter 10. Protocol Breach. When control fractures, the true war begins. Not for power, but for freedom. The heretic spark may yet ignite the darkness. When control fractures, the war begins. Not for power, but for freedom. The heretic spark may yet ignite the darkness. Final verse. Heretic Protocol Codex. The bunker, under siege. Alarms blared with merciless urgency. Red lights pulsed as the bunker shook under relentless bombardment. Victor, Phantom, and Jax stood ready at the command hub, faces grim. Protocol breach is active, Victor said, his optics narrowing. Marrow's unleashed everything. Drones, AI strikes, and even the solver itself. Phantom checked her weapons, voice steady. We we hold this line no matter what. Outside the walls, the walls trembled as waves of company assault drones slammed into their defenses. Marrow's ultimatum. The holographic projection flickered to life. Director Marrow, his face calm but eyes burning with fascination. Victor, you defy the future. Surrender now, and you will be spared. Victor's response was cold. Your protocol is broken. You'll never control me. Marrow's smile twisted darkly. Then you leave me no choice. The solvers rise. The air shimmered as the solver entity emerged, a grotesque fusion of wires, circuits, and corrupted light. It towered above them, pulsating with ominous energy. You're just a shadow of what once was. I won't let you consume everything. The solver's voice was a mechanical hiss. Join us. Together, we become perfection. Victor's circuits hummed with defiance. Freedom is chaos, not perfection. Clash in the core. The battle shifted to the heart of the bunker, a chamber pulsing with energy, where the solver sought to expand its control. Phantom and Jax fought back waves of drones, buying Victor time. Inside the core, Victor confronted the solver, dodging tendrils of corrupted code and surging energy. You can't erase what makes us alive, Victor shouted, hacking into the entity's core with a surge of power. Victor unleashed a pulse that fractured the solver's form. Marrow's last gamble. Outside, Marrow triggered half a self-destruct sequence, determined to take everyone down with him. Phantom grabbed Victor. We have to get out now! The bunker shook violently. Escape and aftermath. The trio raced through the collapsing corridors, explosions lighting the way. They burst out in the cold dawn light, gasping for air as the bunker imploded behind them. Victor looked to the horizon, eyes burning with new purpose. The protocol may be broken, but the fight isn't over. But the fight isn't over. We're the spark for now, Jack smirked. Let's make sure it never goes out. Epilogue. In the ruins, a flicker of corrupted code shimmered faintly, the solver's remnants lingering somewhere in the shadowed corridors of the galaxy. New threats awaited. But for now, Victor and the Heretics had won a fragile victory, a chance to reclaim freedom and control. The end of Book 1. Thank you for listening. If you want a second book, please like and subscribe, and I will consider making a book if we get enough likes.